Sometimes when traveling, we just have to make phone calls, and ideally we can do so without breaking the budget and extremely high roaming fees. And services like WhatsApp are great when you're traveling to call friends and family, but every once in a while you just need to call a normal landline or a different cell phone. And being able to make cheap phone calls saved our asses literally so many times when traveling. For example, when we had the medical emergency abroad and the travel insurance had to bring us back home. Also, when all the lockdowns happened and we were abroad and we had to wait in the Lufthansa hotline for hours and also call the embassies. Or also in France recently, where we had a flat tire and we needed to find a local store to fix it. So in the past, I used Skype to phone for this, but unfortunately, this service has been discontinued. And I received many emails and questions if I already found a good alternative, because that's what I mentioned that I used in several of my older videos. Honestly, I was not so sad when Skype to phone stopped working, because I was already using another alternative that works better for my needs. And as always, I like uncomplicated solutions, preferably as cheap as possible and also without any subscription fees. And I found one that works for me, and that is Roamless. Now, before I tell you more about Roamless and how I use it for traveling and also to make phone calls, I just wanted to drop a small disclaimer here. I don't do sponsored videos because I want to be able to say what I want to say. But I signed up now for their affiliate program because I personally use their product and I keep mentioning it in videos. I did not make this video because of the affiliate program, so I think that's an important distinction. So if you want to support me, you can use the affiliate link, but I will also put a normal non-affiliate link to the same thing in the description, and you can just use whichever link you prefer. The reason why I decided to go with Roamless over all these other, especially very much hyped eSIMs for travel, is because for me it has three main differences. The first one is that you can make phone calls, and I will talk more about that in a second. The second one is that it has kind of a prepaid pay-as-you-go option, so I put my credits there, and doesn't matter where I am in the world, it works in many countries. I just turn on my phone and turn on the eSIM and it's working and just charging me for whatever I use. So I don't have to deal with complicated packages and expiring credits. And that also brings me to the third benefit, and that is that the credits don't expire. So as far as I understood, this only works with the credits that you pay for. But if you get some extra credits during a promotion, then on those credits there may be an expiration date. So I really use this eSIM as my pay-as-I-go solution while traveling, and I find this very helpful. You can see all the rates in their app, but just as an example, here in Austria, pay-as-you-go costs 2.45 euros, I believe, per gigabyte. And I find that rate is more than okay, especially considering that there's no parts of packages expiring without being used. That being said, I just saw that recently they introduced data packages. So for Austria, it can go as low as €1 per gigabyte if you take the 20 gigabyte solution, for example. And phone calls are not included in any packages, so for that you always have to have some credit in the pay-as-you-go option. Now, making phone calls is extremely easy. You can just make them directly from inside the app. And if you already have some internet on your phone, or if you're in the Wi-Fi somewhere, then you don't even need to turn on the Roamless eSIM to be able to make the phone calls. It's very easy to do. You just type in your phone number, and then even before you press calling, it already shows you exactly how much you pay for this phone call. So in my case here, to call a number in Austria, it's 4 cents per minute. Doesn't matter where in the world I would be calling from. And then I just press call, and that's it. Now let's talk a little bit about receiving phone calls, because that is something that is not possible with this eSIM. You don't get a phone number, so you cannot really receive phone calls. For me personally, this has never been a big problem because I don't receive many phone calls at all. People usually know that I'm traveling, and the rest I don't care. But if you're in a different situation than me and you need to receive phone calls more often, then in my opinion it's very beneficial that you don't need to have the eSIM activated to just make phone calls out of the Roamless app. So if I would be abroad in a country where I would need to pay a lot for roaming, then I would just keep my Austrian phone number active on the phone. If I receive a phone call, then I just don't pick up and I call them back a few seconds later. Now let's talk about a few pros and cons of Roamless, and I want to start with the negatives. The first negative that I really don't understand is why it's not possible to buy packages with my credits that are already paid. Right now, if you want to add a package, you have to pay for that separately, which I think is not really fair considering that you already have some credit there. And my second gripe is that I wish that the statistics were a little bit more detailed. They basically just give you a daily overview, and sometimes my data makes a huge jump and I don't know what I did to use that much data. It would be a little bit more helpful to have a little bit more of a better overview when the consumption happened, to figure out which setting in my phone I forgot to turn off. Now let's talk about the pros, and for me the biggest benefit is just this pay-as-you-go option. And I love it for two reasons. Number one is that I don't need to worry about installing yet another eSIM or activating yet another package for anywhere I go. I just arrive in my country, I turn on the eSIM, and I'm immediately ready to go. And the second reason why I like the pay-as-you-go function is because often I'm just not long enough in the country to really justify the cost for a full package. For example, when I'm somewhere and I have Wi-Fi in my accommodation and Wi-Fi almost everywhere, I just want to have a little bit extra in case I need it for an emergency or to navigate with Google Maps or something. Or for example, when I go to Switzerland, I often go there just for a few hours. And obviously the next pro for me is being able to make phone calls. So being able to make phone calls and the pay-as-you-go, I think makes this eSIM pretty unique and makes it, for me, a much more attractive package than the other travel SIMs. So I find it very comforting that I'm able to make phone calls. Worst case, if we really get into another emergency situation like we did when we were in Brazil and we figured out that my husband has cancer. So if you want to hear that story and how being able to make phone calls really helped us in that situation and how we dealt with travel insurance and all these issues around that, I will link the video below. If you enjoyed this video, then consider subscribing to my monthly newsletter. That would make me very happy. Or also subscribe to my channel. And other than that, thanks for watching and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!